All right. What are intros? I don't know what those are, but we are here to talk about Zora Neale Hurston and gush about her and her genius. I will let these lovely directions are bad. These lovely ladies introduce themselves.
Hello. Oh my goodness. I can't even do my own intro right. What up, nerds? My name is Lezlie. I have a channel called The Nerdy Narrative where I read all of the things and talk about it, which is my second favorite thing to do.
Hey y'all. It's usually what I say. Hey y'all. My name is Bree. I have several things. One of them is Lock Booktition is my YouTube channel, and I also have Lock Plantition, which is my channel about plants. But we're here to talk about Lord Jesus, Zora Neale Hurston. Why did I say Nora? Why not?
You're trying to be like, consolidate, and brain's trying to. It's good.
Listen, as my field of psychology says, that was a cognitive error because I went ahead and did that. But yeah, so I do a bunch of spooky stuff, a bunch of non-spooky stuff. I love reading Black classics, so classics written by Black people throughout the diaspora. I like doing a lot of other stuff that I'm kind of blanking on right now, but I'm sure that it's great and it is informative and people have a great time. Yeah, so that is how I would introduce myself. And I showed up with no earrings, which is something I never do, but I'm trying to be okay with the naked lobe, even though
I get nothing, so we're good.
No. I'm like, oh no, my mom's gonna curse me out because I'm not a good Southern woman without my earrings. So that's a struggle that I have there. I feel like I'm talking too much. Evie, cut me off.
No, you're fine. I know it's a little late, but Bree is also the host of Black Arenathon, so get ready for next year. Also, you can participate any year, all year round. So,
agreed. Heavy on all year round.
Yeah,
heavy on, and I can't wait to let y'all know what's happening next year. Oh, I can't wait! I'm so excited.
How many days? How many days till Halloween?
Yeah, I mean, typically every year. This is my third year. Next year would be the fourth. I usually plan like a big part of Black Arenathon for the next year, that October.
Nice.
Yeah.
So all of these ladies' channels and the plant channel, even though I got a black thumb when it comes to plants, I kill them like so quick.
You see my girl behind me.
Yeah, she's beautiful. Yeah. I'd kill her so quick. But anyways, I will leave all of y'all's channel. All of y'all's. Oh dear God.
Yep, we got you.
I'll leave all the channels down below, all the links, all the things down below. But let's talk about Zora. Sweet Zora. So, yes, books to be had. I guess to start, because there's no structure to this video. How did you guys get into Zora Neale Hurston's works? Like, where was your start?
Oh, God.
It was an accident. It was a complete. I'm so random. I saw another channel was reading this book, and I looked at the description. I thought, well, this is cool, and my friends are reading it. I'm gonna read it. So I picked it up on my Kindle. Well, I got it from the library on Kindle. Oh my gosh. Before I was even halfway done, I had already ordered my own physical copy. I have read this book. I read it twice. The first year that I discovered it, I read it twice in that year. Yeah. It's an annual reread for me. It is just absolutely gorgeous writing.
Mm-hmm.
The most, just the character development, the emotion, the setting, how everything builds in and how it has an effect on you. It's just unmatched.
Yeah.
Zora is unmatched with what she does with her craft. Which is why this then happened.
Love to see it. Love to see it.
She's a favorite.
Evie.
Yep.
Yeah.
Love to see it. Same. I don't even know if I can back up that. That's just beautiful. I think as a Black woman from the South, who family living now have experienced what it feels like to be in Jim Crow area. You know what I mean? It makes the stories that much powerful. I feel like Zora Neale Hurston has a way to talk about what's happening in a painful way with moments of joy, so that that's not the only thing that you're focused on. A lot of her stories have to do with like main characters reclaiming themselves, exploring themselves in some way. And I truly appreciate the way that she writes characters. It's very similar to Toni Morrison, where it's like, look, this is not for the white gaze. Either you get it,
Oh,
you get it. And that's just is what it is. There's no explaining what this means. There's no explaining how this got to that. You are on the journey and you are forced to recognize with, the legacy of enslavement in this country, the enslavement worldwide, honestly, if we're being honest. So I always love that I am going to get literally the gristle, the meat, the bones when I'm reading Zora Neale Hurston, which is something we typically don't get in like contemporary work, I find, because a lot of times these publishing houses are like, this is what I want. And Black writers oftentimes who are being signed to these, bigger traditional publishing houses have to write with the white gaze in mind. And Zora and Toni fiercely went against that mode and put us, the culture, first. You didn't ask for that long.
And another thing, it felt like home, because a lot of people were reading Their Eyes Were Watching God when I did. There was a read along that I ended up in the middle of, and a lot of them were getting the audio because they were having trouble reading the dialect. I'm like, I have no trouble.
Yeah.
I mean, I was born and raised in Rankin County, Mississippi. This is how we talked. It's just, it flowed. And you mentioned Toni Morrison, but she really breaks it down, like strips it down.
Right. We can do another talk on that for sure. Amen. Yeah. I definitely agree. It definitely felt like home. Like I was like, oh, this is because my family, I don't know if you know Wesson, Mississippi.
Oh, I do.
Yeah, so I have a huge family like who lives there. And I was like, oh, this is my uncles, my aunts, my cousins.
Yep.
No problem. No problem. I think that was really great. My favorite book of hers, though, is Barracoon. I probably read it 3 to 4 times a year. I'll be like, and you're doing it. And again,
that's one I haven't gotten to yet.
Yeah, so that one, I'm not a big nonfiction reader, but the way that she wrote Barracoon, it's like, it just showcases not only her storytelling, but like her anthropological side. Like she made you feel like you are talking to Cudjoe Lewis. And like, she's the one telling you that story.
Yeah.
Through her. It's just so good. The one thing that one of the many things that I love about Zora, which, Their Eyes Were Watching God was also my first Zora Neale Hurston, is she's the first author that I've experienced that is the same level, if not exceeding Jane Austen in her just exploration of society and culture through a story and through characters. Like, it's just, you see the world through these characters' eyes, and it's not just, a story about Janie or, I'm blanking on her name, from Seraph on the Suwanee. It's not just about these characters. It's about the world and society, and just really kind of exploring that, and not a casting judgment.
Not at all.
Yeah.
She writes it exactly how it is. She's not trying to color it any kind of way. It's just the truth
You get what
written
you get.
down.
Yeah.
And I actually live now currently right around the corner from where Zora Neale Hurston lived, where the town is that's in a lot of her stories. And it's just that also gives me another tie. I feel like I know these people. But yeah, she's not all she's doing, just like her job. She's just reporting. Her job was culture and folklore, and she just used everything that she learned, everything that she knew and experienced, and she just crafted it together and put it on the page for us. And she made it beautiful while she was at it. It's the truth. It's the truth with the fictional character in there. And
yeah, and you can see like the anthropological aspects of her mind throughout all of the things that she's written. Because I have a degree in anthropology, which is why I feel like I have like a kinship to her in that regard. But it's like, if you're choosing to study in anthropology, it's the study of humans, right? And human culture and way humans are living and existing and thriving or not thriving, whatever the human experience. And you have to be really inquisitive to want to do it, because most people who decides to be like anthropologists, you have to like dedicate your life somewhere for like 7 years minimum, and like just be a part of culture X, whatever that is, or whatever you're studying. So you can just see that dedication to being curious, to being a life learner in things that she writes. I haven't read everything she wrote. I wish I did. But I just been slowly taking it in, because once they're an ancestor, you can't get no more books. So I've just been trying to be I've been trying to be like slowly with it, but Barracoon is undefeated. I just keep reading the same thing. And this one right here, I don't know if anyone read this one, Mules of Men.
Yeah,
we have it, but I haven't read it yet.
Oh, I feel like Lezlie, you're gonna. Is it Lezlie?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, Lezlie, you're gonna enjoy this. And the only reason why I feel that way is because if you read Their Eyes Were Watching God and you could follow the text, you can follow this text. It's similar.
Oh, yeah.
It's more like, I would say, the difficulties is in there are certain slang that like my Black family uses in Mississippi that is in here, that I feel like if you ain't familiar with the slang of like Black deep South, not like just South, like deep South talking, you're gonna be like, what the hell is this? But I loved it. I was cracking up.
Oh, I can't wait.
I was cracking up. I was like, Zora wrong for this, because some of those characters were out of pocket, and it was funny.
Well, but it sounds like she did. She was immersed in the culture, and she wrote it authentically. I actually got to hear some recordings that she made. She immersed herself in that culture so much. A lot of it, their history was, they kept up with it in songs. She learned the songs, and then when she was reporting back her studies, she would sing the songs and she would record the songs. And you just get chills, because she went to the level of learning their songs, singing them the way they were supposed to be sung. And it's just, and she put that level into all of her work that I've read so far.
I will say that, like, as she's obviously writing about a time and a place and a culture at a point in time, but there's still this, kind of as someone who is not learned in anthropology, but this is just my very unlearned, uneducated opinion. There's still a timelessness. Like we're human nature hasn't changed over thousands of years. Like
one would hope.
Yeah, unfortunately. But like there's just a universality to Zora Neale Hurston's writing and storytelling. Like, it's just so good. Like, as a big fantasy reader, I feel like if you're a fan of fantasy, you need to read Zora Neale Hurston because it's a masterclass in character work.
Mm-hmm. Amen.
You know, actually, I didn't realize this at first, but like her short story about Uncle Monday is considered fantasy. I love it. I absolutely love. Anytime I come across Uncle Monday or the other voodoo woman that he kind of goes up against in that town, I get so
totally
tickled.
forgot about that. Yeah. Now I need to
Not me
reread.
looking for it.
I want to say
no,
it's
I
in the
went right
complete
to
story.
it.
Yeah.
I went right to it. Look at that. Yes. I'm all ready. That's been
that one.
This is
That's
gonna
a
turn
great
ready.
one.
This is gonna turn into some reading sprints. But yeah,
I wonder how long it is.
I think it's like 10 or 20 pages.
Yeah, I don't think it's real long.
Yeah, it's not very long.
You can read it while the opening credits are showing at the movie.
Oh, I could.
So
Yeah.
other than Barracoon, and I've started but I haven't finished her essay collection that they just released. I've only read her novels and her short stories. So
yeah,
it's just, I can't pick a favorite. I guess I could say Their Eyes Were Watching God because it was the first, but
Oh gosh.
they're all just reading.
Second favorite. Moses, Man of the Mountain.
So good.
I mean, and it's just second favorite by the smallest of margins, but I don't think anything could edge out Their Eyes Were Watching God, but Moses, Man of the Mountain is fire.
here you
Loved
go.
it.
Got me adding. I'm taking stuff out.
It is so wonderful. I've always been fascinated by religion, why people believe what they believe, and everybody has a lot of different religions have different accounts of the same person, and I love comparing them. And what Zora did, of course, throwing back to those anthropological roots of hers, she takes Moses of the Bible and Moses of Black folklore, and she melds the two together. And what you get is the realest Moses ever. Like, he doesn't put up with anything. He puts up with the Hebrews, but he tells them exactly like it is. And I just died. Loved it. I can't wait to reread it. It was so good. But I would say her nonfiction collection, You Don't Know Us Negroes, is a must because it is so educational. You're going to learn so much that it puts a whole different meaning on all of her work.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to finish the collection and go back and reread everything I've already read and see it through after all that I've learned. So I
have that one on audiobook. Haven't started it yet.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, I think I'm like halfway through it, but it's just the way her mind worked is enviable and also incomprehensible to me. I'm like, how is someone this good?
And patient.
Yeah.
Like, these are patience. This is her saying, this is how it is. This is why things are the way they are. Let me explain to you what this means, why it means this. Like, hi John the Conqueror. How he was, what he meant to the people, the hope that he gave the people. And it's just learning all of the things, just the history.
She also doesn't pull any punches at all, especially in that, like, of what I read in those essays. Like, there's an essay in there. I don't know if you've gotten into it yet, Bree, but where she's criticizing someone who criticized her work.
I think I saw someone read it and I listened to it recently. I'm just trying to remember where I listened to it because I was reading a Black classic and I found out, and I don't even remember because like I've read so many Black classics, but it was a Black classic that I read and they were like, Zora Neale Hurston was criticized for her work in Barracoon and something else she wrote. And like there was a group of white men who were at the top, and I forget who they were, but they were criticizing her. And the comeback, it was beautifully done. Like if y'all ever read, and I keep bringing it back to Toni Morrison, but Toni Morrison has a book called I don't know where it's at.
Oh, Playing in the Dark. Is it Playing in the Dark?
No, it's oh my God. A Source of Self-Regard. There we go. By Toni Morrison. And the way that she would like meticulously, strategically come for your throat when you came for her was paired to none. So then when I listened to the way Zora Neale came for this person, I just don't remember the words, but I remember being like, whoo, they're gonna learn next time not to come for her.
And I mean, it was well worded, very intelligently written, but I'm like, wow, this is Zora Neale Hurston coming for that 1-star reviewer. I loved it.
It'd be like that. It kind of there's some authors who come for people in such like a calm demeanor and like just factual that I just can't do anything but applaud it. And I like it. Like I get there. Yeah.
And
I get that as reviewers. Yeah. I get that as reviewers, you know, we review books and whatever, but you don't also get to just talk out of your neck about a human being because they may come for you. And when they do, I'm going to be there with my popcorn watching. Okay.
Yeah, she's actually, she reviewed another essay that somebody else wrote or article later in this collection that was equally fantastic.
Love to see it.
I don't know that one yet, but oh God.
Yeah. One of my favorite things in reading Black classics is just seeing how these Black women are not to be effed with, and are just coming for folks.
Never.
Like, just straight coming for folks. And I'm like, I love it. Because like oftentimes I'm always wondering like, man, I wondered how a person from here, from there existed during this time. And I'm so thankful that we are blessed enough to have a collection of her work and we can get real time reactions, thoughts, opinions on what happened during her time. So I find that to be fantastic.
Yeah. Well, there was an essay in that collection where, I mean, Bree, you were talking about how, you know, Toni and Zora, like, they're not for the white gaze. They're not writing for the white gaze.
Yes.
And I mean, tangentially, like, modern publishers are like, oh, we want the trauma, the trauma porn, not trauma porn. Whatever. I'll just say trauma.
Yeah, that's what I call it.
There you go. Zora, like in one of those essays, she pretty much says the same thing. Like the white folks just even back then in the 20s and 30s, they're like, oh, we just want the slave narratives, or we just want like the oh, you know, portraying Black people as like having these hardships. And she's writing these stories that are with these characters that are so like so self-sufficient and so filled with their own agency and not based off anyone else. And it's just gorgeous.
Which is something quite dangerous. You know what I mean? For her to been able to do in the time period that she was in. Like, listen, I am a Southern Black woman, so I know how Southern white people can be towards you. So I'm just shocked that she wrote a lot of that stuff. It's like
I love it.
A lot of it. I love it. But I'm like, the bravery, the fuck it, I'm here and I'm here and I'm here. To even step outside and do it. There's a couple stories, like short stories that I've read by the first ever Black writers to write crime fiction. And they're, just very tiny, small stories. And I don't like to talk about the book because I found out recently that the person who edited the book is a very racist white man. So I don't talk about the book, but I will let y'all know where to find them after this. But a lot of them was like, in order to even be published in a newspaper, we're talking like the early 1900s, late 1800s, in order for them to even be published, Black folks had to write stories where, they were very subservient, very submissive to white enslaved owners, enslaved slaves owners. So it just was like, that is all they wanted. They just wanted shucking and jiving, and they wanted a Black character who was gonna just serve them, and that had to be in the text. And it also had to have like a string of violence. Like, if you get out of line, this is what's gonna happen to you. So to know that, I mean, that wasn't too far behind Zora, So the fact that she was like, "Hey, I'm gonna go ahead and write this," she's a hero to me. You know what I mean? Like, just the other day, I was talking to my grandma, and I was like, "Oh, like, cause on in the book communities, people be like, oh, I want to read a book from my childhood, or I'm reading my mom's or my grandma's favorites books," and my grandma, straight face, was like, "What you thought I was reading?" I said, "Granny." She said, "You think I was reading in Mississippi? You think they gave me books outside of the classroom?" And like, took a lot for me to not cry, but that's reality. You know what I mean? Like, my granny didn't start being an avid reader until like her 40s.
Yeah.
So it's like, even thinking of those things and then looking at Zora, and she's like, "Hey, I'm writing this, whatever. And it's going to be whatever. And that's going to be it." It's groundbreaking. I think it's more than I can actually put in words, even though I'm just chatty Cathy as hell right now.
Well, I mean, as awesome as an individual can be, like, she had the community around her. Again, from what I know, she was part of the whole Harlem Renaissance. Like, she had moved up to New York City, and she was, friends with Langston Hughes, and I think, if I recall correctly, she was involved with editing or publishing a newspaper around that time, maybe before she was writing. And then even before that, like, the town that she lived in, and Lezlie, just correct me if I'm wrong, but like, it was a Black town. Like,
and it still is.
Yeah.
It still is.
Oh,
I wanted to go. They had a weekend that was celebrating Zora, but we had this random 20-degree weather weekend. So they were going to do like a walking tour around the town, and they've got a library named after her and everything. And Ray Chesney came and spoke. She writes a lot about Zora Neale Hurston, studied her, and I attended an online class with her about Zora, but I wasn't going to get out in no 20-degree weather. No, maybe next year.
You just need to do like a vlog walking tour of,
Well, that was my goal. I was gonna go, and then we got up, and it's like 20 degrees outside. And I'm like, "Ray,
well, you live, just a couple towns over. You can still go and visit.
Yeah, I think it's only half an hour away.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
but I get lost real easy, right?
Yeah. This is also like something I think is cool too. It's the Harlem Renaissance novels. I don't know if you can see it.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe I need to bring it closer. I'm unsure. Okay. But it has hold on. I think I put it in upside down on accident. It has Not Without Laughter. I read that. Black No More. I read that. The Conjure Man Dies. I'm reading that now. Thunder, Black Thunder. I haven't read. Kane. I've read. Harlem, Home to Harlem. I've read. The Black of the Berry. I've read. Plum Bun. I haven't read. And Quicksand. I think I haven't read. But it's like just talking about the novels in the 1920s and the 1930s, the Harlem Renaissance novels.
Nice.
Pretty collection too.
Yeah, if you're interested.
Yeah, I am definitely interested. Although my unread bookshelves would
Yeah, we don't like that. That's the collection. You got your books you've read, and then you have your collection.
Yeah. I've been like slowly trying to collect all these Black classics around the world, and I'm like, there's so many. I thought there wouldn't be a lot, but when you go outside the US, man, it is so many books. So I'm like, I don't know how long this cart gonna last.
So I guess that's like, for me, I also didn't know, I didn't know Zora Neale Hurston existed until I randomly came across one of her books, and then I started looking more, and it's like, she wrote so much more than that. And then she expanded my world to other authors that I'm absolutely interested in and that no one talks about. Like, no one talks about Zora Neale Hurston. Like, she should be mandatory reading in school. Like,
yes, absolutely. Their eyes are watching God. I think every young lady would find value in Janie's story.
Oh yeah, absolutely. For sure.
Even if you don't relate to everything that she experienced, you're gonna relate to a lot of it, and it's educational. And what to look for in a mate, and what to look for yourself. What to
heavy on yourself.
Yep,
heavy on yourself. Yeah, and when to be like, this ain't serving me, so I'm out.
Yep.
I was like, wow, she is not wasting time. This is this. I'm gone.
Again, going back to the character work that Zora just has with every single one of these characters, like in the novels, at least. Obviously, stories are a whole other. Actually, even the stories, like the stories feel simultaneously like, at least for me, like explorations of possible novels, but they still feel so complete. But all of the novels that she's written, every character is just so complex, and they feel so real. And yes, they have like romances or
it's life though,
abilities going on, but that's not the core of it. Again, going back to the Jane Austen comparison, like, yeah, Jane Austen has like her novels are romances, but again, Zora is exploring society through these characters and through character interactions, and
I think
it's more of love for oneself than romance. But
I think when you're saying like, no one talks about it, and not in like a no one talks about it, it's just rarely spoken about. It's just like, it goes back to when we're talking about like, the world's not evolving fast enough, and like thinking about trends and like just the realities of life. Is like, when Zora was writing, and even now, like, Black authors aren't getting their accolades. They're not being praised in ways in which white authors are. There's some great writers out there, but we live in a world where, unfortunately, white folks are thriving in book communities. So it's just, and I mean other communities too, but right now we're talking about books. And I think that's one of the reasons why, Zora is not heavily sought after or spoken about. Like, I know people who do classic book reads or classic readathons or whatever that are, and they're not reading Zora. And if they were reading Zora, who's gonna come? Because who knows about Zora? You know what I mean? Like, you gotta be a certain type of person who's out here screaming praise about Zora, and you've also had to have read a couple of her books to really get to the meat and the bones of things. So I just feel like there's just things that is, outside of our control, and all we can do is things that we're doing now as us three on the screen, is keep the memory alive and keep being like Zora, and Zora, like, just,
I was just gonna say, like, all right, so we'll have a Three Amigos thing of just us yelling about read Zora Neale Hurston, please. Actually, not even please, just read Zora Neale Hurston. Like, no ifs, ands, or buts. End of sentence.
Yeah. They don't know what they're missing, honestly.
That is the truth. That is the truth. She just, her wheelhouse is so big too.
Yeah.
You know, we've got religious fiction. We've just got a story about a woman's life. We have, oh gosh, Arve Henson, bless her little heart.
Yeah.
Oh, God bless her.
And the titles are just magnificent. But go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say I was actually I've been debating on doing if you're a fantasy reader, like this is the book you should read because of this. So like for there as we're watching God, if you want to read just the most popular thing, obviously this is debatably her most popular. And then if you like The Great Gatsby, read Jonah's Gourd. Holy crap, it's way better than The Great Gatsby.
Yeah, I heard of that. I've heard of that too. I was gonna do a Black classic version of if you like this Jane Austen, you'll like this Black classic, or if you like this whatever. I forget the name of other.
It's this it's so good. And then if you like any mythology retellings, like Moses, Man of the Mountain.
Love that one.
And then if you like unlikable main characters, like Henson, God, like you said, Lezlie, God bless her heart, but
yeah,
unlikable.
I wanted to break Arve.
She's a dumbass.
Yes, she is.
I don't even know who that is.
So, I think this was her last novel written, I think, and she got like a lot of crap for it, apparently, Zora did, because it's a white main character, and they're like, but you're only supposed to write Black characters.
But
and she's
you
like,
can't tell.
You guys, I'm gonna write it.
Tell.
Yeah, I'm gonna write what I want. And like, holy crap. Like, she wrote this character.
Look, in the South,
Janie, but just so.
I'm gonna educate y'all. In the South, there's a whole lot of time. If you aren't looking at them, you're just listening. You can't tell who's talking. So, when I read Seraph on the Suwanee,
especially when you're in the deep South,
you had to tell me. You had to describe her and specifically say her skin color was white. Yeah. So, I mean, where I'm from, you can't tell the difference unless you're looking at them. And then there's a lot of times you're looking at them and you're going, "You sure somewhere back in there?" So
yeah, I do know. Like in New Orleans, the way Black folks speak and white folks speak is 100% different. But then when I go to Western Mississippi,
there's
white folks, Black folks everywhere, and I'll be like, everybody got the same goddamn accent.
So New Orleans, though, you got
different.
Yeah, there's a lot of French in them too.
There's a lot of French. There's a lot of Spanish. There's a lot of Italian. There is Chinese influences. We are a melting pot of folks. Indigenous folks. So it's like, it's our accent, Black folks. It's definitely different. Even if like Black folks in Baton Rouge, like their accent is different than ours in New Orleans, but when I was in Mississippi, I just felt like only thing is like cultural differences in the way things were explained. Then you can see the differences, family things, how that family migrated to that area or was taken to that area. You can hear those differences. But for the most part, everybody got the thick accent.
Especially out in the county.
I know. You're just out here living. I remember my uncle was like, rinse around the drawer and get me something. I said, rinse? What am I doing? What do you mean rinse? He was like, rinse around. I said, rinse around? And his friend, the white man, said, yeah, rinse around. I said, rinse around? What am I rinsing? And I didn't realize later that means look in the drawer and get the damn thing. But the whole time I'm like, what am I rinsing? I didn't dirty anything to rinse.
We have our own way of speaking. It's the truth.
I
It's
said
the truth.
rinse. Still, it stuck with me. I mean, I was told that when I was like 9, and it's still here. I'm like, rinse around.
All right, note to self, Lezlie, you're gonna be my translator if ever
I'll do it. I'll do it. Everybody's like, man, I just can't follow the dialect. I gotta get the audiobook. And I'm like, are you kidding? This flows. It makes perfect sense.
Not this flows.
My brain ain't checking up at all. It's just flying through.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. When I'm telling you, when I read Mules and what was it? Where did I put the book?
Of Mules and Men? Yeah.
Mules of Men. I don't know what I did with the book. That's shame. That's shameful. But Mules of Men, I was like, ooh, if people ain't from the deep south, they are going to struggle. We're not talking about Atlanta. Okay. Yeah. We're talking about a specific group of folks. Like, and I would say probably like backwoods, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama. Them folks are going to be able to read this. Outside of that, I'm unsure. I'm really unsure of how people are going to read it.
Cracking open.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But anyways, people just need to get out of their, comfort zones and just read Zora. Like, come on. But
it's worth it. It'll change your life.
It will. I wanted to give y'all a clue. So it's ain't got you study about Benny Lee. I'm like Benny Lee. It's God ain't paying you no mind. Then is you gonna hell on right now? Ain't talking to you no way. Zora, you want to hear this story? But it's like wanter. But like, it means water.
Yep.
But it's
you want to hear the story?
Want to hear the story? So it's like, exactly. You want to hear the story? So I was like, oh, people are going to struggle. And then it's like, somebody's going to bleed. And it's like, you're going to be like, what is that? Because it's like gonter. But it's like, but when you say it, it's more like an A. So it's like, it's just,
somebody's going to get put out. I mean, you just have to
put out on the streets, okay? So it's just one of those things.
I mean, I don't know what else to say other than like Zora Neale Hurston's so good. Like, God, like,
true.
I'm not eloquent like she is. Like,
no, I can't be. Yeah,
I'm too redneck.
I just think it's a blessing that we have our literature.
Yeah.
And I wish that more authors currently had like more authors that I read currently, like Black authors, could write using like AAVE in ways that she has, because I feel so empowered when I read a book that talk like people from my community. One of the books I read recently, I was like, oh my God, this is so good. It is called Long Division. I'm forgetting the name of not the character, Lord Jesus. The author, Kisei Lemon, I think. But Long Division owed me nothing. I was like, this is great. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you again. And then you have Toni Morrison, who's like, look, I'm here again. I just like her, Maya Angelou. If anybody haven't read anything by Maya, I need you to yesterday, because her stuff is good too. And I'm almost done with have read everything she's ever written and been, publicly published. So I love that.
Mea culpa, I haven't read anything by Maya Angelou yet.
Oh,
well, people always
you're gonna love it, Evie.
You're gonna love it.
Wonderful.
People always say read I Know Why the Cage Bird Sings. The Cage Bird Sings. And I think that's a great part to start. My favorite book of hers is Me, Mom, and Me. Letters to My Daughter. I know why the cage ring thing would be like third, but those two felt more intimate, and that I felt like I was having a conversation with her. And most importantly, like Toni Morrison, Maya Angelou has audiobook narrated most of all of her books. So that is so great that you are getting. I love it when an author read their stuff. I'll be like, yes.
Me too. Because
everything.
the level of emotion and the right emphasis and intensity, they deliver it. And I just love
wrote the story. They know. Like they know.
Well,
like
it's just especially because Toni cusses like a sailor in her writing. And to hear her narrate it, and she's like, fuck. I'm just like,
so good.
I'm loving it. Her delivery is just outstanding.
And it's also like, how do y'all read this in a calm voice? Like, it feels comforting when they read their books. And those are some of the faves, you know. Now I want to go hunt down some audios of Zora, because I don't think I've ever heard her voice.
I'm pretty sure my library had all of it, and I may still have access. I went to an online thing, and I think they gave us access to all of the recordings that she played during the presentation. I'll have to look and see, and I can connect you with them. But it's just something about hearing her voice. It just gives you chills.
Yeah.
To hear her talk and hear the passion in her voice about what she was studying and talking about, it was amazing. It was just absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I think people's voices are powerful. I try to record my granny every chance I get.
Oh.
I'd be like, Granny, tell me a story. Tell me about what's going on.
Well, I mean, we're almost at an hour, so I'll just kind of add my 2 cents before I forget my thought. Is again, from what I recollect, like Zora Neale Hurston, she was virtually unknown. Like she was forgotten about for the longest time, and then I think was it Alice Walker? I think.
Alice Walker
kind of started doing like basically created her resurgence of her works and like academic research of her works, and just read the damn books. I guess that's what I'm trying to do. Like
Alice good too. Now don't sleep on Alice. Don't sleep on Alice.
Just don't let Zora be forgotten again. Like
Before we leave, I have a question for y'all. I think we should do a live show of a book that all of us haven't read by her.
That's fine with me.
Ooh. So I better slow down, huh?
I've been like taking sips. That's how I am with Toni Morrison, though. I have all of her books in my collection, but I just been like,
Lezlie and I did a Zora Neale Hurston like buddy read basically. So we read all of Zora's novels,
all the fiction,
and stories, So, and I think we were talking about like doing Toni Morrison next, but we never did that. So
not yet. I've read some of her.
I read The Bluest Eye, but that's it.
Oh yeah, I did a whole review about that on my channel.
I think I'm still traumatized. So
it was a traumatizing experience. Good one. But it was hard. That one was a hard book to get through. Currently for the Black Classics Book Club, we are reading Songs of Solomon this month.
Solomon, that's a good one.
Yeah, so if
Milkman.
It was good. It was good. People love Milkman. I know I've heard it, I've seen it. So we're reading that one this month. I'm trying to think what we can read because y'all read all the fiction.
The thing I love about Song of Solomon is such a good story. It's one that I love to read in fictional works and fantasy. Just somebody wanting to know where they came from, who his people were,
Mm-hmm.
And nobody would tell him. And so he goes out and he finds his people where he came from, because that's something down south. Well, who's your mama now? Who's your people? That's one of the first things you meet somebody new. Like, well, who's your people? That's how people identified you.
Yeah. You're not an individual. You got a whole load of people behind you.
Yep.
And just knowing who you come from, that you belong to somebody, how empowering that is for a person. Oh, I just want to read it again. Love it.
You're more than welcome to be in the live show. You're more than welcome.
I have it somewhere floating around
I
here.
think it's, I'm trying to make sure it's Song of Solomon, y'all. Because I already read Song of Solomon, but I'm just trying to make sure.
Either way, I'll leave a link down below to the Black Classics Book Club. It's just on Instagram, right, Bree?
It's on Instagram, and I put it on YouTube. There's a video that has my Black Classic, like what we're reading this year to the end of the year. But I can't remember. I don't want to lie to y'all, so let me see.
Don't lie.
I do not want to lie. Don't make me lie. Yeah, it is Song of Solomon. I'm gonna read it again. Because I was like, I read this. I know I did, but why am I hesitating that I read it? And I did. I just saw my review. I did read it earlier this year, but I'm gonna read it again because that's my business. So that's what I'm gonna do. But yeah, and then the rest of them are African classics. But yeah.
Thanks. So we will figure out what we're gonna read together. Zora wise. I have Song of Solomon. So I will get that read, hopefully very quickly, so that I can join the live, or at least join in chat. So,
did y'all read this one?
No. I haven't read that one yet, but I think we both have it, don't we, Evie?
Yeah, I got this one. Is that the nonfiction? Is that the folklore one, or?
Yep, Voodoo and Life in Haiti and Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
I love voodoo. Ooh, I will eat up anything about voodoo.
Yes.
Every time I go to New Orleans, I'm like, y'all got any new tours? Any new shops? I go to the cemetery. I say hello to Miss Marie. Yes, I do.
Oh my Lord. Me and my sister was talking about we need to be tourists in our own city because we don't know nothing. We don't know what's going on. Like people be like, oh my God, where do you think we should go? We like the hood, like what? Like we go there to see our people. We hanging out with our people. Nah, and the only cemeteries I go to, because in New Orleans you can't bury people underneath, is our family's crypts. Like so we always pay homage and pay respect to my grandparents who passed, and my cousins and my uncles who are no longer here, and ancestors now. So that's just like, and we celebrate with them at our family's crypt. But I've never been to those tour crypts. I don't know any of that. I've never been to none of the museums. I feel like I'm a fake fan. But nobody was like, hey, let's go to a museum. Like, no, that my family already look at me weird when I be like, hey, let me check out your library card, because New Orleans library card is strong. You hear me? It is good. Shout out to my little cousin Braden. I know you'll never watch this, but you're 8 years old, and I've been religiously using your library card, and you a real one, Braden. Your mama really hooked me up, and I appreciate her for that.
All right, so Tell My Horse. That's what we're reading together, and we will do a live show discussion of it, hopefully much sooner rather than later. We will definitely reconvene on the Instagram and talk about that. But in any final thoughts, because I know that people have things to do after this.
It's always me. God dang it!
I got some chocolate chip cookies my husband brought me.
I've got pizza to eat, so
I'm thinking you married right.
Mm-hmm. Sure
I'm a little bit jealous.
Slid them out of camera, off camera, or whatever.
Yeah, he slid in around and made sure he stayed out of frame. He's like,
all right. Yeah. Any final thoughts?
Read this book with us when we get ready to start reading it. Yeah. We should mention it. So if people want to read it and then get in chat with us, There's a song back here.
I
I'm sorry.
know. That's when I was like, "Ooh, did you hear me say that?"
There's a whole bunch.
Yep,
Songs
and
of
they got-
worship to voodoo gods.
Yeah, I was like, "What?" And then there's like pictures.
I love this, and I bet Zora could sing every one of these.
Yeah. And then I saw some stuff about Papa Legba, which I like reading about, even though it's very controversy of different things. But yeah.
Oh,
I really
big-
like the back of the book. It like tells you
yeah.
all the books that
I'm sorry.
But
No,
no, it's good.
got caught up and look.
No. Yes, we did online. Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, I gotta put it
That is
down.
something for us three to look forward to, as well as hopefully y'all watching. If you made it this far, thank you for dealing with our chaos. But also, if you haven't read Zora, read Zora.
Please
It's a
do.
requirement now.
Please do.
So this is your homework. Have it in by next week. So
There you go.
and
will be graded and quizzed.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're not subscribed to these lovely ladies, why are you subscribed to me? Like, subscribe to you, whatever. It's fine. Anyways, thank you. Thank you so much for joining me. I really, really appreciate it. And much like me not knowing how to do intros, I don't know how to do outros. So I'm just going in this